What's up, future officers? My name is Tejas and I welcome you all to episode 26 of iLead. Today we are discussing a very important news. So what is this news? It is about SnapX. So what exactly is the SnapX, sir? You might ask. So see, the SnapX is a bio ink. It's a bio ink which helps in coral restoration. So before I tell you how exactly coral is restored, let me first give you a small glimpse of what exactly is corals. But before, this might seem like a simple concept, but I would advise you all to have some patience and listen through this. So corals are a kind of a animal, right? So corals are animals, they are marine animals which are invertebrates. Invertebrates meaning that they do not have a backbone. Now, when a single coral is there, that single coral is called as a polyp. And when a group of corals exist in a same habitat, then it is called as a colony. Now, when they are staying in colonies, or usually coral polyps, what they do, once they are thriving, they release or they expel a kind of a calcium secretion which covers them. Now, once this is covering them, this hardens and it forms a hard structure, almost like an exoskeleton, all around this coral polyps and these coral colonies. Once it's almost like one building is there. Now residents in this building can go out, but that building will remain, right? So this hard structure remains. The coral polyps, the living animals there, that might die, but new polyps will again go there and it will build upon this particular coral polyp, and slowly it results in the formation of a reef. Now, there are many reefs in this world. The most prominent of them being the Great Barrier Reef off the coast of Queensland in the northeastern side of Australia, almost stretching to a very vast 2,400 kilometers wide of range. Now, once these hard structures are formed, there is a peculiar algae. This algae is called as the zooxanthellae algae, which comes and gets attracted to these corals. So all these zooxanthellae algae come and they enter a relationship with these corals in such a way that these zooxanthellae algae and these coral polyps right now share a symbiotic relationship. You can call that this is a mutualistic relationship. This is a relationship where there is some kind of a quid pro quo, meaning to say that the coral polyp is benefited by the zooxanthellae in a certain way, the zooxanthellae is benefited by the coral polyp in a certain way. What is that way in which both of them get benefited, sir, you might ask? See, very simple. The zooxanthellae algae get food and shelter from the coral polyp, and the coral polyp gets color and energy from the zooxanthellae algae. So you see that this is a symbiotic relationship. Both of them get benefited. Sir, all of this is fine, sir. What is the significance of corals? Let me tell you. Interesting question. See, corals, they just form 0.1% of the whole of the ocean. If you see the whole oceans, all the seas, if you take all of the corals collectively, it's just 0.1% of the total area. But just despite being 0.1%, they account to an immense 25% of the total biodiversity. Very, very large. Okay, 0.1% is contributing to 25% of the total biodiversity. And it is for this very reason that so much of ocean's biodiversity is attracted here, and that is why it has a nickname. The nickname for this coral reefs is called as the tropical rainforests of the ocean. Right? Because rainforest also has a lot of biodiversity. We know rainforests, and that is why in the corals also we take this comparison. We call them as the rainforests of the ocean, tropical rainforests of the ocean. Other than this, what other significance is there? See, corals are not found anywhere in the ocean. They need a specific ecological niche. They need a specific habitat niche. That is, for a coral to sustain, it requires clear water. It requires tropical water. It requires warm water. It requires shallow water. And all of this combined together, if everything falls in place, then coral reefs are usually found in those places. That doesn't mean that cold corals or temperate corals are not found. They are also found in deep oceans, but it's very rare. It's almost like an exception. Now, the main problem here arises that right now, the zooxanthellae algae are leaving the coral reefs and they are being expelled. It's almost like the corals themselves expel these zooxanthellae algae, that we are not able to sustain the zooxanthellae algae. But then we begin to wonder, because the zooxanthellae algae and the coral polyps and the reefs, they had a very good relationship. They had something very good going on. What is that sudden reason why the coral polyps and the coral reefs are expelling out these zooxanthellae algae? Okay, that could be a question. Now, this expelling out, where the coral reefs are turning white in color, this is called as coral bleaching. Almost like you are doing laundry and you are bleaching, the clothes will almost become whitish. So here also the coral polyps they are losing their vibrant colors and they are turning a little white. So what is the reason for this? There are many reasons why this coral bleaching is happening. The first of all is us, you and me. What is this reason? First one is global warming, climate change. Because the temperature, the global average temperature is increasing, we see that the ocean temperature is also increasing. This is not creating a habitual niche which is favorable for this zooxanthellae algae. The second reason is pollution. And when we talk about pollution, there are these two different prominent pollutions. One is plastic pollution. We see in the Pacific Ocean, there is Great Pacific Garbage Patch. In Atlantic Ocean, there is a garbage patch. So much of ocean, because of Ekman effect, all of these are spiraling in the middle. So again, this creates a problem where so much of plastic is just hovering in the sea, right? So this is one problem. The second one is the oil pollution. Usually large oil containers which are going, sometimes they leak out this oil, and oil does not mix with water. So they spread all across the ocean. And this creates a problem where many zooxanthellae algae, they lose their photic region and they happen to die. The third reason for this coral bleaching to happen is sunscreens. Now, as soon as you hear this, you might wonder, what? Sunscreens? Yes, I'm telling you that sunscreens. Now, sunscreens, they have a special component. What is that component? It's called as oxybenzene, octonoctate. Okay, so this oxybenzene and octonoctate, these two compounds which are there in sunscreen, they cause immense death to the zooxanthellae algae. When imagine that you are on the beach, you apply your sunscreen because it's very hot, then you take a dip into the ocean. Once you take a dip, all that sunscreen gets mixed with the water, but that compounds of this oxybenzene, octonoctate, it goes and destroys almost one compound will result in more than 10,000 zooxanthellae death. Okay, so imagine if you take this much of sunscreen and put, you would literally be responsible for killing so much of zooxanthellae algae. So very recently, we see that islands such as Palau Island, okay, it's an island little north of Australia, Hawaii Island, which is part of USA, these islands are banning sunscreen on their whole island itself. You cannot take sunscreen on that island. Why? Because they understand the repercussion that it is going to destroy the corals. The next particular problem or the reason why coral bleaching happens is sediments. So a lot of sediments are there in these oceans. Lot of sediments meaning that these sediments, as soon as a lot of sediments arises, the turbidity of the water increases. And when turbidity increases, you cannot see the clear water aspect is completely gone. In such case also, zooxanthellae algae will not be able to survive in that symbiotic relationship with that coral reef. The next particular problem is ocean acidification. As soon as you hear this word, don't get tensed. Meaning to say, doesn't actually mean that the ocean is turning acidic. But what it actually means is that the basicity of the ocean is reducing. Meaning to say, if the basicity of the ocean, let's say for example, is on 8 in the pH scale, now it is going to reduce to let's say 7.9 or 7.8, mainly indicating that the basicity of the water in the marine water is basically reducing. So this is what is happening. The next particular problem with coral bleaching is mainly unsustainable fishing practices. When I say unsustainable fishing practices, what do I mean? See, there are many unsustainable fishing practices, and if fishing is done in this peculiar way, it is not sustainable enough for our future generations to ever taste what a fish looks like or what a fish tastes like. So what are these fishing practices? The first one is bottom trawling. So what happens in this bottom trawling is they hold a net here, one boat is there here, one more boat is there here. Both of the sides they hold a net, and they take a particular net and they literally uproot all the coral polyps, something which has taken thousands of years to form. They uproot all that and they catch all the fish and go. Okay, not leaving the fish stocks behind. Another one is cyanide fishing, wherein you just throw cyanide like this, the fish comes expecting that some human is throwing some food at me. But in the end, it is cyanide. The fish eats that, it dies. And that's very many times that same fish is given to us also. Okay, you see the problem of biomagnification, bioaccumulation happening here. The next one is blast fishing. So usually what happens, they take a dynamite, a TNT, and they go and they drop this TNT, this dynamite into the water. After a certain while, boom, a very big blast goes off and all of that fish which is below comes up floating. Now they collect that dead fish and they serve it to you. So these kind of fishing practices destroys corals, guys. It destroys them very inhumanely to a certain extent that it cannot again regenerate itself. And when it can't regenerate itself, we are creating a loss which cannot be repaired. Anyways, enough about corals. Now why I am telling you all of this is because recently the researchers discovered a special type of a pink coral. The name of this pink coral is called as crustose coralline. So this crustose coralline is of a pink color, mainly owing to the algae which is surrounding it. But when researchers tried to find out why exactly it is so pink, okay, they found out a special mechanism is going on in this particular coral. So what is happening is that this coral polyp is undergoing some kind of a metabolism. This metabolism is releasing a chemical which is called as metabolite. Let me just repeat this. It is undergoing a process within itself. We all know, I hope. Okay, it is undergoing a biological process of metabolism. Now, in that metabolism, one chemical is released inside the coral polyp. That chemical is called as metabolite. Now, when researchers tried to take that particular metabolite, they started putting it in water. Something wonderful started happening. That material of that particular liquid, that gel which was created, that metabolite which was processed, it started attracting coral larvae. Now, what is this coral larvae, sir? You might ask. They are offsprings of coral polyp. A coral polyp is a big one. A coral larvae is the small corals which will become the polyp in the future. Now, this started getting attracted to this particular film. Now, this was a wonderful creation. Why? Because when this coral larvae was getting attracted, eventually that coral larvae would get settled down there, and that would again produce that exoskeleton or that hard structure which would be there, and in turn it would end up attracting the zooxanthellae algae. Okay, so what the researchers did is that they collected this particular metabolite and they developed something called as a bio-ink. Now this bio-ink's name was called as SnapX. Okay, so this SnapX is basically like this biomaterial. Now this biomaterial basically means that it is compatible with biology. To tell you in brief, this is almost like a gel. So this gel, when subjected to water and when it is attracting or when it is applied to the surface, it attracts coral larvae. When the coral larvae grows up, it becomes a polyp. When the polyps start multiplying, it becomes a reef, and that reef attracts zooxanthellae algae, and the coral reef is basically restored. Now, we see all of these problems of coral bleaching, but we usually don't talk about the solution. Now, what I thought that this one particular solution might be a game changer in the world of environment. If corals are restored, it is almost like protecting the habitat of the 25% of marine species which are there. So overall, it is protecting our environment in a very big way. So this is SnapX for you guys. There is a biofilm which helps in coral restoration. I hope that today's episode showed a little more light into your preparation, and I hope to see you all in the future upcoming episodes. Until then, this is Tejas signing off. Thank you and have a nice day.